type of conversion. View content means that when somebody clicks on the link and they visit your web store, your e-commerce store, and they land on that store, that Facebook will register that as a view content, right? If you go onto Facebook here and onto the platform in Business Manager, and you come over here to Pixels, right? So you go Business Manager, drop-down menu, you come over here to Pixels. That pixel will track different activities, different conversion. And if you can see here, this pixel has had some history, some activity already, because it's been active for a while, right? But it hasn't been focused in what we need it to be. It has page views, some view contents, right? And some add to cards already registered here. And you can see here, this SLN pixel, the pixel ID is 2056161, right? So I want to make sure that that pixel is the one that's on my Shopify store. So 205616. So if you want to double check that, all you got to do is come to your Shopify platform, click on Online Store, go down to Preferences, and down below here, you're going to see Facebook Pixel 205616. Yep, that's exactly the one we want. Right, so the pixel is already there. That means that, and you can read up on here, so you can learn more about Facebook Pixel by clicking here. But the Facebook Pixel is already connected to your Shopify store. You want to make sure that that's the case, that you create a pixel for your ad account and that you add the pixel here before you start advertising. All right, so that we're good there. Now go back to the ad set. So the ad set, again, is where you identify your audience. This is where you're going to be selecting who you're going to be targeting. And you want to tell Facebook what to focus on. Later on, you'll be able to say, hey, Facebook, I want you to track and focus on purchases. You can see here, purchase. And you think to yourself, why wouldn't you just focus on purchases 100% of the time? Well, the way that the pixel works is that it can only focus on something that it can track. And it can only focus on something that it has data for. So it only makes sense that when your pixel is new and when you're just starting out, that you don't have any purchases. As a matter of fact, you probably don't have any add to cards tracked through your pixel, right? And the Facebook Pixel needs at least 25 to 50 data points for each one for it to start learning. And it needs those 25 to 50 data points consistently for it to continue to learn. So unless you're immediately going to start having 25 to 50 add to cards the first week, right? It doesn't benefit you to focus on anything past add to cart or anything past view content, because the very first thing that somebody's going to do when they visit your web store is going to be view content. And if your pixel is brand new and your store is brand new, then that's the only thing you want to focus on, because you want to focus on getting 25 to 50 people to your store every week, so that Facebook starts learning who actually likes your store, who actually likes the product that you're advertising. And so that later on, as time goes on, your advertising becomes more and more effective. So we're going to select the view content. All right. Very important here with the ad set name. You'll notice that I'm gonna create an ad set name that's going to be very, very specific, because we want to make sure that when I look at the KPIs, when I'm tracking the advertising and the results of the advertising, which I'll talk about how to set up, that I'm looking at the right thing, and I know exactly what campaign, what ad set, and what product I'm advertising. There are some saved audiences, but I'm not going to click on saved audiences right now, because we want to show you how to do it from scratch, just like we talked about it. This is a brand new store, or at least a store that hasn't had any sales for a while. So we're starting from zero again. So we're going to create a new one, right? And under this new one, what we're going to do is we're going to target people that live in the United States. Now, let me tell you about this locations aspect, right? Here, everyone in this location will mean that if somebody from Mexico, somebody from Canada, somebody from Ireland, somebody from Africa is in the United States visiting, and they're on Facebook, and you're targeting them, they're going to get that ad, right? And I don't know about you, but typically, if you're traveling abroad, you're not on Facebook buying stuff and sending stuff to your house. it does happen. It certainly does. But we have literally millions of people visiting the United States every single year. So I'm going to say I just want to focus on people that live here. I want to focus on people that know they live here, and that they're going to be able to buy something and ship it to themselves here in the United States just to make it easier. Now, we will talk about advertising internationally. But I also say that at the beginning, we want to start focusing the advertising on a small group of people. To begin with, we want to try to focus on anywhere from about 75,000, 100,000 people to about 500,000 people. We don't want to go too far beyond that, because if you do, then Facebook doesn't know who to look for. It's too broad, right? You don't want an audience that's too broad, because you want Facebook to show the product to a very, very specific type of passionate people around deer, in this case, or whatever it is that you selected, so that the pixel can start learning who they are, right? And then later on, months from now, the pixel knows exactly who your audience is. They know exactly who your buyer is. And then you can target the entire country without any type of detailed targeting. And then Facebook will be able to find your buyers. But that only comes as a result of you doing advertising properly, so that your pixel learns what it needs to learn. So we're going to start out with people that live in the United States. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I would imagine that most people that like leggings, especially leggings that have women wearing the leggings, are going to be women. So for the purpose, I'm going to let Facebook figure that out, because I wanted to learn. But once it does, I think we'll notice that most of the buyers are going to be women, especially for these leggings, right? Generally speaking, and I can tell you this by experience, most of the buyers of e-commerce, most of the shopping that is done online is done by women. So, but you don't want to just omit men in advertising, because you want Facebook to learn that, so that it has that data. If you tell it that you only focus from ages 18 to 25 of women, then you're not letting Facebook figure that out and get that data for itself. So in this case, we're going to go all. Now for leggings, we're going to go 18. But in this case, I do want to say, I don't want to target people 65 plus, right? Typically, if I use some common sense and I look around to people that I know that like leggings, and when people are wearing leggings, typically they're people that are active, people that feel comfortable wearing them because they like yoga, or they like to just wear them around the house. So for this case, I'm just going to start out with something along the lines of 55, right? And I'm going to let Facebook figure out who really likes the leggings based on this subset. If you want to leave it 65 plus, you can certainly do that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that just for the sake of what I just told you. I'm going to let Facebook figure that out, because I want to show you guys what that's going to look like when we start looking at the metrics. On languages, right? I started out putting English here all the time, thinking, my ad's in English and people are going to be buying that know how to read English. But the reality is that your store can have an application so that it can be translated in multiple languages. If we don't have it in our store yet, I'm going to come here to the store. So we don't have that here yet as an option. We're going to put that, because sometimes we'll be able to have buyers from other countries that can just say, hey, I want to click on it and have the store be in Spanish or in Italian or in anything else, and they can buy it. But for the purpose of advertising, so going back, let me close these two. For the purpose of advertising, many times people are classifying themselves as speaking Spanish, for example, or speaking Dutch or speaking French. But the reality is that they also speak English very well and understand English, and they would be more than happy to buy from an ad that's in English. So we don't want to tell Facebook, hey, just focus on English in this case. So we're going to leave that blank. Now, I'm going to skip over detailed targeting. I'm just going to come over and explain placements, because this is where we're going to spend more time in here. Under placement, see, it says here, automatic placements recommended. Now, when you're first starting out, especially for e-commerce, I would advise that you select edit placements. And I'll tell you why. Facebook recommends that you advertise in all of their platforms. But the reality is that the ad that you're doing is going to be specifically designed for one type of section within Facebook. And that is going to be the news feeds. That's where you want to focus. You don't want to focus so much on other aspects of it. Now, if you were doing a video, right, then you would click on suggested videos and in-stream videos and all that. If you were doing articles, you could do instant articles. And later on, you can actually experiment in marketing to different aspects, including Instagram, which can be a very powerful platform. But we always recommend that any advertising that you do on Instagram, you do on Instagram by itself. Meaning, if you're going to do an Instagram ad, it's going to look a little different. The image size is going to be a little bit different. Therefore, you want to do Instagram advertising separately from Facebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclick all the ones I don't want. Right? Maybe it's counterintuitive. Maybe you think, I don't want to miss out on sales on any of these other platforms. You're not going to. What you're trying to do here is you want Facebook to focus on showing your ad, right, that we're going to do to as many people as possible in their news feeds to get that engagement, those clicks. Later on, you can experiment and split test other locations and see what kind of results you get. But I've always found that advertising on Facebook feed has generated me the best results. Now, specific mobile devices and operating systems. In this case, it's all mobile devices. So we want to just leave it alone. We want to advertise all mobile devices. There's no reason why it's a segment. If you were advertising a iPhone case, then maybe you can come over here and say iPhone devices only, right? That would be a good place to start. But for what we're doing, we want to advertise anybody that loves deers that has any type of mobile device. Now, under budget and schedule, this is where it's very, very important because this is tied to the charges you're going to get based on your advertising, right? Under daily budget, you have the option of selecting an amount. This is the budget for this ad set. This budget is for this ad set. My recommendation is that we'll have multiple ad sets per product that we want to advertise. Why is that? Well, simply explain, we want to have multiple audiences that we're targeting. It's not just going to be one audience in all of the United States. We're going to have multiple interest groups, and we'll get to that here. Multiple interest groups, multiple flex targeting of interest groups related to deer that we'll want to target and see how it performs. So we want to have multiple assets. Therefore, we want to think this is not the only money I'll be spending per asset or per product, right? Maybe I'll have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different assets for the same product, targeting different audiences, showing them the same product because I'll want to see what kind of results I'm getting. So I'm going to start off with something easy. I'm going to start off with $10, right? You can easily go $5, but I feel comfortable that we're going to be advertising to deer lovers, and because we haven't advertised in a while, I want to start getting some results so we can show you guys for next week. So I'm going to start out with $10 with this ad set. So that means here that the run it's going to run your ad set continuously starting today, and that you'll spend no more than $70 per week. That also means that even though it's $10, sometimes you'll spend $9.80 in a day, sometimes you'll spend $10.23, but on average, at the end of the week, you'll spend no more than $70. Under conversions, we want to leave at conversions, right? This is more advanced and different types of advertising for different things. So we don't have a landing page in this case, a link clicks. In this case, we're going to focus on conversions, right? We could focus on link clicks in this case because we are going to have a link, but not necessarily. We want Facebook to focus on the audience first, and then ultimately generate us link clicks. So I'm going to leave that alone. Then conversion window, 7 days click or 1 day view,